Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Reader's Delight, where we proudly read Black romance. Today is a very special episode. As you can see, I have a guest today. Yay! Today I have author Cher Terais, who is joining me to talk about her new release, Tempest in Tulum, as well as her previous novels. And we're just going to get a little bit of background, where she's from, what inspired her, and just have a bit of girl chat, just to get to know each other a little bit better. And hopefully, you all will go out and check out her new novel and her previous work, because, of course, we all are lovers of Black romance here. So, yeah, so welcome, Cher.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm
Yes.
excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy to have you here.
Thank
So,
you.
for those of who may not know you or may not be familiar with your work, just tell us a little bit about, where you're from and how you came to be an author of Black romance.
Ooh, absolutely. So I'll start out by saying you said where I'm from. I
Mm-hmm.
consider myself a citizen of the entire world. And it
Mm.
kind of is how I became an author as well. I have a couple of passions, maybe more than two, maybe three.
Okay.
First and foremost, Black love. I
Mm.
love the notion of Black love. Have been reading romance all my life, literally when I shouldn't have been reading it. but morphed eventually into totally immersion into Black romance, especially when I found out, and I'm dating myself, but I found out that it was not easy to
Mhm.
go to a Barnes and Noble or a Books a Million or whatever these stores were and find books by people and for people that looked like me.
Mhm.
So I again started seeking out the Eric Jerome Dickies, the
Mhm.
Elin Harrises. I'm talking about from back in the day. J.D. Mason, Brenda Jackson, all of the greats. And
Mhm.
even more recently with CCJ, Love Belvin, Kennedy Ryan, my probably my favorite right now. But I have been immersed in it, love it. Started writing at a very young age, mostly poetry. But I
Ooh.
also started traveling, yeah,
Mm.
around the world at a young age too. And I just started picking up ideas and stories. Like I've always had a very vivid imagination, but I always also found myself in spaces where there were not many women or men who looked like me. And
Mm.
again, I'm talking about on a world stage. And so I would start creating these stories. You meet a lot of people. What would happen if? What if that? And so my very first book, Bali Blue, by the
Mhm.
title, of course, is set in Bali.
Mhm.
I started writing it in 2018, and
Mhm.
it is Rion and Kendrick Keikoa's love story. I write books about women who are from Atlanta and places
Ooh.
like it, who
Okay.
find themselves in situationships in some of the most exotic sounding places around the world. And
Mhm.
so insert Kendrick Keikoa, half black, half Hawaiian main male character, and Rion, Southern girl from Atlanta. They meet in Bali. So it's a
Mhm.
enemies to lovers love story. And
Mhm.
then comes Mess on the Mara. And as I've explained before in other circles, Mara is not the female main character's name. Mess
I thought it'd be a place, right?
on
Right?
place, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So that book takes you on a very cultural, immersive journey to the Masai Mara in
Mm.
Kenya. And
Mm.
so Andra from Atlanta, Kobe, they're friends, it's best friends to lovers romance. And Kobe has been in Atlanta since the age of 13. And Andra discovers that she has Kenyan roots. So you got East Africa and
Mm.
West Africa combining, but it all starts right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And
Mhm.
yeah, and Andrew goes on this whirlwind mission around the world for self discovery, but discovers that everything she wanted was already back home in Atlanta. So,
Mm.
and
So
now
then, what
Tempest
is?
in
Yeah. So what's the trope for Tempest in Tulum?
sports romance. It's a little
Oh.
bit of yeah, it's a little deviation from the other two. Like I said,
Okay.
it's enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, and now we have a sports romance. more of a strangers to lovers romance, but also a little age gap. Definitely sports romance. That's the major theme. But yeah, we have Delia, who is Mexican and Black American female. And then we have Okio, who actually makes his appearance in Mess on the Mara. And he is Kenyan born, London raised. So ex MI6, Black James Bond, Idris Elba vibes. Yeah, and for anybody who ever read Bolly Blue, Delia is the main female character in Bolly Blue. She's her assistant. So she's already been introduced to the storyline. But yes, the whole series is the Wanderlust romance series, standalone, but there are some interwoven characters throughout.
Got it. Okay. I love
Yeah.
sports romances for sure. I always tell people like when I list my tropes, I'm like, I love a good sports romance. Wait, what sport does he play? Or they play or she play?
She,
Okay.
is an MMA.
She be fighting. Look, I've never been in a
She's
fight in my
fighting,
life.
fighting. As a matter of fact, I'll give a little drop, a little
Uh,
drip. The
uh-huh.
meet cute, there may be a choke slam involved
Okay.
um, at a party. Yes. So it starts off kind of in the action. And I don't know if it's okay to say it or not, but on my Instagram, on the link, if any of your listeners are interested in hearing that first chapter, we did a
Mm.
dramatic narration and it is out there on my link tree. Anybody who's interested can listen to it right now and get involved in that story.
Love it. I recently was telling someone about the whole dramatic listening, and they were like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "When you hear all the sound effects, it's
Yes.
everything goes into it." And honestly, a
Hmm.
lot. I also do listen to audiobooks, and
Me too.
I recently, not rather recent, but this year there was an audiobook that a sample that I heard. It wasn't black; it was just like a random Instagram one, and it was a
Mhm.
dramatic one, and you could hear the leaves, you can hear like the gust of wind, and I was
Yes.
like,
It,
dramedy of sort.
total immersion. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. We actually auditioned because, like I already said, the main male character is Kenyan born,
Mhm,
raised in London, right? So
mhm,
he has this very gentlemanly British accent.
mhm,
However, when we did this dramatic narration, I was like, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be known that this guy is East African with a British accent. I don't want it to be
mm.
mistaken that he's from somewhere else or maybe another ethnicity. I didn't want that mistake at all. So we actually interviewed or auditioned. Sorry, I messed up my camera.
No worries.
We actually auditioned several narrators from East Africa who live in London.
Nice. I love that. That's how it's supposed to be. Because
Mm-hmm.
I have a
So
friend who listened to a book one time. She said it was set in Atlanta, and she's from Atlanta, and she said that Atlanta accent was like so inauthentic, it made her want to like just throw the book. Like she was just like, "We don't sound like this."
at all, someone who is not from the South
Mhm,
thinks that to to sound Southern is
mhm.
to sound like you might be from Tennessee.
Yeah,
And the way we speak in Georgia
yeah,
versus Alabama versus Tennessee is
uh-huh.
so different.
Yeah,
To,
yeah.
so it's
I bet.
boring to hear this.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm from California. So I'm from LA, I'm from
Mhm,
Southern California. And for us, I will admit, a Southern accent, it's all the same to us. Texas, Arkansas,
mhm.
Mississippi, Georgia. We're like, sounds the
It's all the
same, you
same.
know. But when we hear people from the Bay, so from Northern Cali, we feel we don't sound the same. They say things like hella, and all that other stuff that I'm like, we don't say that down here. So
Okay.
yeah.
It's so funny when I hear people from the Bay Area, right?
Mhm.
A Snoop Dogg or, always hear Atlanta.
Oh, really? Oh
It's
my
so
god.
I can distinctly hear someone from the Bay Area, and
Mhm,
I know where they're from instantly, but it
mhm.
always to me sounds like the same kind of undertone. if you will,
It
as
could be.
someone.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
could be. It's funny because when I hear someone from Southern California, like a black, especially black men, I can always tell. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah.
he from he from LA area, like LA, Inglewood, Hawthorne, whatever cities over here. I'm like, well, he from
You can
here?
hear
Like
it.
I can
It's
tell.
so distinct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah. You
little
have to, yeah.
twang. It's a little
That's
twang
it.
that I'm like, that sounds like us, And then
Well, I like
yeah.
it.
It's funny. It's always really, really funny. So then, um, so that's super cool. I'm really, like I said, I'm a big fan. My tropes I've always said is enemies to lovers is my number one. Like it's
Love that.
always like I love the feistiness. I love it when the man is also grumpy too. When he got an attitude, I love it. I love it. Because
Yeah.
I always feel the men with attitudes will fall even quicker. Like not even quicker, but harder in love.
Harder. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Unexpectedly.
Mhm. Mhm. They always tend to fall really, really hard, and I'm like, I love it. I love that. So then we can see that your books have a bit of a location sort of theme going on. Bali, we've got Mara, we've got Tulum. So what kind of
Mhm.
inspired you to write these kind of location-based sort of novels?
Absolutely. So you asked me already, like, what kind of inspired me to write?
Mhm.
Travel has always
Mm.
inspired me to write, but also telling stories where we've kind of traditionally been put in a box. Black
Mhm.
romance has been mistaken for urban romance, or
Mhm.
street lit, or we've all kind of been lumped in together. And
Mhm.
my experience as a Black woman, right,
Mhm.
has been on an international stage, really, right? But I
Mhm.
have direct roots to Georgia. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I grew up in
Mhm.
Orlando, Florida. I live in
Mhm.
Atlanta now, and I kind of wanted to know, where are the stories for us,
Mhm.
that aren't
Mhm.
just located in one geographical location. I'm all over
Mhm.
the place at any given time, and I want to see those stories about that. But I also wanted to give an opportunity, if you will, to
Mhm.
everybody who's ever come to me, family members, friends, other writers, readers.
Mhm.
Um, where are you now? Oh, I would love
Mhm.
to go to Bali, or I would
Mhm.
love to do this. Well, guess what? If you can't go physically, oh, you can go in my book. And so it's an immersive experience.
Uh, yeah, you know what?
I
It's so
guess
funny
I
because
get,
Bali is on my list.
oh, listen, please make it happen. Make it
I
happen.
mean,
It is a beautiful place, beautiful people, beautiful food, great food.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
a whole vibe. Yeah.
Literally, my friends know, my family knows that I have been like, yo, we need to go to Bali. We need to go to Bali. And they're
Mhm.
like, oh my God, but that flight is 20 hours, especially from the West Coast. We got to add. We got to add 5, 6 hours on top. So I'm like, I
Mhm. Oh,
know, but like, let's go. Like, we can do. And I get resistance because the flight. The flight is killing people. Yeah.
listen, I don't know if I'm just a weirdo,
Mhm.
but the whole experience, the length of the flight, and I left from Atlanta, had to fly to LAX. Left
Oh.
LAX, had to go to Sydney, Australia,
Mhm.
Australia to Bali, right?
Mhm.
Um, I love airports. I love hotel rooms. It's a whole experience for me. So when you actually hear the term, it's not so much about the destination, it's about the journey.
Mhm.
I can get lost in an airport. Let me tell you something. People hate Atlanta.
Mm.
Hartsfield Jackson. People hate it. I love it. You should see me exploring.
That is funny. So then, okay, so now my brain is trying to think about. So when you fly to Bali, it's like let's say LA, then you fly to like you said Australia. So you're going the other
So
way.
the first time I went, yep, from Atlanta to LA, from LA to Australia, Australia into Bali. The second time I went from Atlanta to Qatar
Uh
in the
huh.
Middle East,
Uh
and then
huh.
from Qatar into Bali. Yep.
Okay, so you can because it's so far. It's like pick a path.
It's gonna take you forever.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I know. I saw because I was looking at it and it was like I think one flight said 22 hours, one flight said 24 hours, and I was like, dang, take a whole day.
Yeah. It's a whole experience, and don't wear jeans.
Why?
Whew. Don't wear skinny jeans or tight jeans on that trip.
You get
Trust me.
tired.
Who knew that jeans could become a weapon? I just felt like this was, and I wore jeans that first time, jeans
Uh-huh.
and sandals, by the way, and was
Uh-huh.
like, I knew better. I should have
Mm-hmm.
known better. I should have had on some yoga pants
Mm-hmm.
and tennis shoes or some, yeah,
Oh
something
wow.
a little bit more comfortable because it's a lot of work on that
See,
trip to
yep.
get there.
I always nowadays I definitely try to wear, soft leggings, really
Mhm,
comfortable and no more. I
mhm.
used to wear sneakers, but then I'm like, my toes got to stretch, you know?
Yes, and you
Uh,
know that air pressure, it'll make your
mhm.
toes swell
Mhm.
if you don't hang or drink a
Mhm.
lot of water. But yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned
Yeah,
before that you wrote poetry.
I did.
How did your writing from poetry go into writing love stories? How do we leap there?
No, right? I think it probably was always meant to be. The first poem that I had to win a contest was in second grade. And
Mhm.
so that poem, well, that teacher kind of inspired me. You know, she told me, "Oh, you're such a great writer." And again, I'm in second grade. I don't know what that means, right? So this poem wins this contest, and she's like, "You should be a journalist, or you should think about that." And all
Mm.
this time, from the second grade to probably a senior in high school, I thought I was gonna be a journalist.
Mm.
Um, and I didn't want to just be a regular journalist either. I wanted to be one of those action photographers and be on the ground in the middle of a war because I was in high school during Desert Storm. I wanted to be
Mhm.
a wartime journalist, that kind of journalist. And then I realized everybody in your family is in the military. I
Mhm.
was going to go in the military, and it kind of changed my mind. I'm not
Mm.
sure I want to be a wartime journalist. So I
Uh-huh.
started writing poems around that same time. And so my first two poems were published when I was 18 and 20.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I started trying to write my first book around the age of 20. Quickly discovered I had no clue what I was doing. Quickly put those 6, 7 chapters on a shelf and never dusted that thing back off. And somewhere around 2018, I started writing Bolly Blue, the first book.
Mm.
In the meantime, I owned a bookstore and
Oh,
everything. So I've
wow.
always been in love with written word, with the written word. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What type of bookstore was it? Where was it?
It's so funny. It was totally online. It was called inkslingersonline.com. And this is circa 2005 to 2008. It was successful from day one, and then it came the Kindle. So
Amazon.
for about 3 years, and I specialized. I literally had niche African American authors, Asian American, Native American, Indigenous American, and Latino or Latina American authors. I
Wow.
only carried those. It's so funny because my biggest customer were men incarcerated.
Hmm.
They were ravenous romance readers, literally.
Wow.
Yes. It was such a wonderful experience. I mean, I
Mhm.
again, it was bred from going into Barnes and Noble, and I read probably 10 books, it seemed like a week.
Mhm.
And I was on this mission to find black authors, not just romance, but black authors, period. It was such a task. So then I said, well, what if I start working directly with the distributors? Became such a fan of Wahida Clark at that time.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
on and yes, um and so I carried those books, the books I wanted to read, but also the books I wanted to amplify, the voices I wanted to amplify. Those are the
Yeah.
books I carried. It was pretty successful. Yeah.
Wow. Dang, Amazon be killing it be killing small businesses. I swear. It's funny
Oh,
because
you
I've
know,
always been like, oh, yeah,
I
there's like
can't blame it on
ideas and
Amazon.
stuff like that too.
It was
Mhm.
the Nook, the
Oh,
Barnes and
the
Noble Nook that
milk.
came out first. Everybody wanted ebooks, and I
Yeah,
didn't carry, of course, ebooks. I had
yeah,
physical books that I would send out. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That is so funny. Big businesses came in and damn,
And did their thing, still
did
doing it.
still doing it. Look, I have Kindle Unlimited. I've been having that for years. I've had Kindle Unlimited. I just don't even bother. It's on automatic. Just I just have it. Yep.
How many?
But
I got a question for you. How many books do you consume
it
weekly,
depends.
monthly?
Ooh. So it depends. It depends. I had 1 year where I read 100 books. I did 100 book challenge, and I read 100 books, and I was till the last day. I was reading a novella, you know.
Okay.
Oh, I, and I was gonna give up. And people were like, "Don't give up, Ashley. You at 96 books." And I'm like, "Who gonna read 4 books? I got 3 days, you know." But I made it. And I said,
Good.
I know. After that, I said, "I'm not doing this again. It was too much pressure." But I would say on a monthly basis nowadays, I probably read. Sadly, I probably read 2 to 3 books a month. I
Okay.
used to
I
be
mean,
like, yeah, I used to be more. I used to read like probably at least 1 to 2 a week was my average. I was like, oh, 1 to 2 a week. But I'm the type of reader who like when I read a book, I need a little pause in between to like absorb and just
yeah.
feel the book and
Yeah.
marinate in the
Yeah.
story, and then I'll move on. But some people be like, "Whoo, finish
Yeah.
that next," and I'm like, "Wow."
You know, I do not know how. You're right. I have to absorb a book, and
Mhm.
I've never been one to annotate in the books that I read, but it looks so pretty and so
It does.
interesting what I see
It
people
does.
doing now.
It
Now I'm
does.
like, I wish I had time to literally pick up a physical book. Now I
Mhm.
take notes on my Audible app.
Mm. It's funny
Yeah.
because so for reader for the book box, in our
Hmm.
not this recent box, the one before we put annotation tabs because the theme was scholastic.
Hmm.
And I was recently reading a book and I was like, man, I really want to tab up this book for these. And I was like, I get it why they do it, you know?
Yes,
Because I was like, I
like
want to be
the
able to
good
come
growth.
back.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, I probably will, depending. Like, I do regret a little bit on this book not doing it, the last book I just read. But I think moving forward,
Hmm.
if I have a book that really is calling me like that, I'm gonna be like, let me get the little tabs and tab it up just
Okay.
to mark the special parts. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I put
Uh,
together special packages. Sometimes when I ship out my books to people who order them on my website,
mhm,
I started creating little stickers and
mhm,
annotation things that they can use inside
mhm,
of their reading journals. I was like, you know what? Why not do it like in the image of the book? Make it
mhm.
match because they are doing some amazing things with these little book journals, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also pretty crafty myself, so I'm in the I would call, I guess, mental processing phase of creating my own little book journal thingy. I haven't put it down. I'm like, okay, we're
Mhm.
gonna get some ideas. Cause I'm like, it'd be so cool to look back at it and then look at all the books and be like, oh, this I read all of these. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely want to be better at cataloging my reading journey kind of thing. It's cute to look back on. It's cute to look back on.
It is. It's just great. And I'm always thinking that what's coming down the road. Can you imagine how important your thoughts, your thesis is on that particular book years from now? Because
Mhm.
books never die. They stay with us, and it's a gift that keeps on giving. So imagine being
Mhm.
able to hand your notes to, I don't know, a daughter or a niece or somebody
Mhm.
else who is reading that. Yeah.
It's true. That's pretty accurate. Cause sometimes I'll
I
see
like
those like
that.
reading journals and they'll have like a little spot for notes. And I'm like, oh, we don't really need too much of that space. But I just think now that you say that, to look back like, even a year from now and be like, oh, I read Bali Blue. I remember that one part or what made it special for me or whatever, is like something that you can just look back on and kind of, you know, vibe with.
Mhm.
I
Well,
like
what
that
I
idea.
hope happens, look, what I hope happens with Bali Blue,
Mhm.
Maison de Mara, Tempest and Tulum for our girls who also love to read and travel, that you'll
Mhm.
annotate those places in Bali that you've
Mhm.
read about in the book that you want to go and experience? Was it the same? Is it the same experience? Did you get the same outcome that the main character did at that particular place? Or, you know, what about the ruins that I talk about that Delia is training at in Tempest and Tulum? They're really there. I mean, you can go walk up to them and see them, and I want you to map out what's in the book, but then go experience it too.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really neat. I like that idea. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, because
Mm.
it's like whenever you're, whenever I read a book about a place that I'm not from, I'm always like, "Oh, I wonder about that," you know? And I've read a lot of books about set in Atlanta randomly, right? And so it's funny when you finally get to go and you're like, "Ah,
That's
this is what
great.
it's like."
Oh,
Yeah. So I like that. That's really cool because I think it happens with, especially for major cities. When people
mhm.
finally get to go, they're like, I've read a book about what it's like here. And so I want to experience what it's like, and get to see the things that I
Yeah.
read about. Yeah.
Let me tell you, before I go to a place, and by the way, I travel to every place I write about. So it's not
Mm,
just me writing about it for the sake of writing about it. It really is my passion to travel the world, but
mhm,
also share that, with the
mhm,
world too. And
mhm,
so the two trips I went to in Bali, I have to experience everything from the flowers. I want to smell them.
mhm,
I want what's the favorite perfume that the women wear here? What are we eating over here at this street vendor?
mhm,
Like it's total immersion. And
mhm,
yeah, and when I get ready to go to these places, I try to read, watch every movie I can find about that
mhm.
place. So yeah, yeah,
That's
it's
smart.
fun for
See?
me. I wonder if other people do the
Yeah,
same.
and now I think with social media, even TikTok, you can go to like a city guide and put the city
Yes,
name and it'll a whole bunch of videos will help you also figure out
yep,
like cool things to do when you get to, Rome or, I don't know,
yep,
London or stuff like that. That's super
yeah, for
cool.
sure.
It's super cool. Something that just kind of popped into my head recently, I've been watching a lot of UK black podcast kind of shows. So like
Yeah,
Shits and Gigs is one of them.
yeah,
Um, r-
a little while a few weeks ago.
they had a little drama. you
Little
know,
drama.
I have to forgive because there's, I'm just like,
Yeah,
it's one of those. But
yeah.
I've definitely been like, I feel like I need to go to London. I went one time before, but it was like a day trip. So I'm like, I need to go
Hmm.
again. I need to go where the black people are.
Let's go. Let's go to Brixton. Let's
Look,
go to London town.
because all these African British men, we American black
Jamaican.
women,
Yes.
Jamaican men, we've been missing out. We've been missing out. We just been we.
This young lady, I forget who did it, but she you know how I don't know if you dating or I don't know if you're married,
No, I'm
but
single.
okay, so she was on a dating app, but she put in the location for London,
Ooh.
and she was just showing the choices that came up, and I was like, oh, I might need to go to London for real.
You know what? That's smart. Do they got Bumble
Yeah,
out there?
I'm sure they
I'm like, what do y'all use? Y'all don't got zip codes. What code you use?
do. Hey, well, how do we do this? How are we gonna? Yeah, we need to put in that location.
Yeah.
There you
Wow,
go.
that's smart.
Yeah,
See, so that has been, because like Idris Elba has been Idris Elba for forever, right? We always known
yeah,
about black British man, obviously African roots, that kind of thing.
sure.
But I think with the podcast era and things of that sort that have been bubbling up a lot more, it's like my brain was
Mhm.
like, "Girl, there's black men over there too," and I was like, "What?" You know,
There's black people everywhere, and I
everywhere.
think that's
Yeah.
another reason why I write the stories I write because we
Mm,
are indeed everywhere, but we get so
yeah.
marginalized, and our narratives aren't really
Mhm,
shared in such a way that it's on a global stage. I'm trying to
mhm.
change that narrative with my book. So
Yeah.
we are everywhere. And I'm not talking, I hate to say it like this, but I don't mean like Africans are in Africa, of
Mhm,
course, we
mhm.
know that. But
Yeah.
I'm talking about me, you, showing up in spaces in Africa, in India, in
Mm,
anywhere in the
mhm.
world, Southeast Asia or
Yeah,
Southwest Asia, or we are there. And I
yeah.
don't know why we aren't depicted as such. There aren't many
Mm.
movies that you can go look at Americans in these places that are brown people or
Yep,
black people,
yep.
but we're there.
You know what? When me and my mom, we went to Paris a couple years ago, and there
Hmm.
are so many Black people in Paris. I was
Exactly.
shocked.
But you don't see it. They don't
No,
show us that. We don't see it.
no. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, it's just they were Black people everywhere. And when I think of Paris, I think of Paris as a white country. I don't think of Paris as like a very diverse place either. I don't think they're going, oh, I'm going to be a multicultural space. No, I think Paris, I'm like, France, I'm like, it's white. But when we went,
No,
we were like,
it's very much
there's a
so.
lot of Black people
Yeah.
here.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. That's really cool. I think that that's definitely a really important piece to the Black narrative of how we are everywhere.
Yeah.
And I always share that my family's from Central America, and yeah,
Hmm.
from Jamaica to Central America, and people
Sure.
wouldn't think of Central American countries of having Black people, but there's a
Hmm.
slew of Black people in Central America, especially. I mean, Brazil, of
Sure.
course, Brazil's a given. We all know that.
Argentina,
But
of
the
course.
rest of it,
Yes.
there is a lot of Black people in Central America too. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, that is a really good point. I think that's important to kind of share. So then kind of talking about like your writing and your writing process and writing style, what's been a challenge because you're kind of a bit of a new author, you're on book 3.
Yeah.
So what have you found to be maybe some challenges when it comes to, writing?
Absolutely.
Mhm,
I'm a very detailed writer.
mhm,
So
mhm,
again, I do it for a reason because of the cultural immersion piece. Again, I
mhm,
want you to experience Bali or
mhm.
Kenya. First of
Yeah.
all, Kenya is not done with me yet. I have some more trips to East Africa I need to book. But Mexico, I've been there so many different times. But either way, I want to be able to describe that perfectly to make you also experience it or want to go to that place or whatever the
Mhm,
case is. So it
mhm,
takes me a long time to write. So as a
mhm,
new author,
mhm.
it almost feels like if you're not pumping out a book every 3 months,
Yeah.
that you are behind. But I had to kind of reckon with that after my first book because it's a lot that goes into my books. And, I really hope the readers appreciate it.
Mhm.
But there's no such thing as one of my books coming out in 6 months. Let's put it that way. It's a
I
lot that goes into
I know. I
it.
can only imagine because, like, to come up with the story, like, you can have an idea, but then you gotta come up with dialogue. You gotta come up with background. Character development has to happen. And then
Yes.
you gotta write chapters, like, you gotta write a whole bunch of
Yes.
things. And then someone's gotta edit it, and then you gotta be like, "Does this make sense? Does this flow right? Will people even like this?" And
It's
then,
interesting.
is it interesting? Because I like it, but there's a whole lot of things I
Yeah.
like that people would look at me twice like, "You crazy girl, don't nobody
And it's
like that."
okay. It's
Yeah,
okay. I think that there's an
yeah,
audience for all the books.
there is.
As long as it's
Absolutely.
crafted well, it's a complete story with some characters that have been fleshed out and developed and are relatable. I
Mhm.
think there's an audience.
There's
Now, if it's
there's
a
somebody
trash,
out
book, it's a trash.
there. You look. And I think also, I'm always very I always feel like it's important to give people grace, especially authors, because you're putting out your child out there, and you're saying, love it like I love it, you know,
Yeah,
love my baby
yeah.
like I love my baby. And people are like, I don't know, I don't know if I like that outfit, I don't know if I like their hair, I don't know if I like them shoes, and you're like, but and it's a bit of that having to face that sort of criticism at times. But I know
It's,
for me, I don't do well with that. I'd be like, nah, it's okay. I'm gonna just let my cousin read this. You liked it, huh? It was
you know,
good, huh? Yeah, and that was it.
I'm sure my daughters are
Mhm.
like, they have already told me we're not reading nothing you write, and I'm okay with that. I'm cool with it because they're like, 'cause as soon as I hear somebody doing grown up things, I'm automatically gonna think it's you, and we know, and so I'm
Oh
cool with
Lord.
them. Like, absolutely not,
You should go
absolutely
through
not.
it, put the tabs and be like, just skip this section. Just skip this and then keep going. And then
Right. However, I have an aunt who she's automatically going to get a book and she's going to
Right.
devour it. And I'm like, what did you think about that, Auntie? I think you are, but
Yay. See, yeah, I couldn't do all of that. Because honestly, I think I remember one time I said, I'm gonna write a book about, I think it was one time. So I'm like, I say I'm a part-time vegan. So I said, let me write my
Mhm.
food journey. I can write that. Maybe it'll inspire someone. One page and I got tired. I said, whew,
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a
I
lot.
think it was one page. One. And I said, this is too much details, too much
It gets
information.
easier though. It gets easier.
I said,
But that
nope.
first page, first word on a page is tough. Yeah.
I said, I can't do I need a ghostwriter. And I'm just be like, look, and then tell them about this happened. And then tell them about that happened.
Mhm.
All right, let me read it. Yep, that's how it went.
Yep.
I can't write. I
Sounds
can't
good. Let's get it.
right. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not a writer and I accept that I'm not a writer and that's not my path. It's not my path.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
but I respect y'all who do. I respect all of y'all who do.
It's
So,
definitely some ugly words and
yeah.
some nasty words.
Not for me. I'm like, I'll just read it. So tell me a little bit about what Wanderlust is. Like what is it? What inspired you to create it? That sort of thing.
So wanderlust, the word itself, basically is this desire to be somewhere else, to go, the
Mhm.
nostalgia of a memory of a place. And so wanderlust romance, I tell stories about perfectly imperfect women, especially
Mhm.
black women, and the
Mhm.
men who chase them around the world. And
Mhm.
so the romance series itself is creating wanderlust. Anybody who reads these books, even if you haven't read the book, if you have a desire to be somewhere, to be immersed in something else, they are kind of the perfect romantic escape for that.
Mhm. I love that. Okay. All right. That makes perfect sense. All right. So is there anything that you think would be really helpful for someone to know just about you that, especially like I said, you're a new author, it's have years of writing, but for the people who are out there, I'm like, who is this lady? Share like the
Who is
artist, you
she?
know?
You
What
know
are some
what?
things you want them to know?
I think at one time I was considered like a Renaissance woman, right?
Mhm.
I dibble and dabble into everything. And so I try to, without making it about myself, I try to
Mhm.
write about the experiences of things, right?
Mhm.
I have a degree in interior design, therefore world building inside of my books is extremely important to me. So I want to be able to explore from the moment you sit on a couch. Oh, it's a Chippendale.
Mhm.
I want to
Mhm.
explore the eccentricity, the aesthetic beauty of a space, a place. So again, I'm immersive in my writing. So and again, you asked me what I want people to know about me is that I am a student of the world. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of what you're going to get in my books. The things that I feel are wonderfully made, that are just beautiful experiences, are the things that I want, of course, for others to be immersed in.
I love that. I love that. So, I think my last question for you is, um, what has been the favorite your most favorite place that you've traveled to, and would you go again?
Ooh, it's so hard to say because I've been to five
Is it
out of the
though?
seven continents, actually six out of the seven continents now. Um, so my favorite, oh my God, there's so many places that I still need to go. So it's hard to say favorite. Bali has to be,
Mhm.
let's say it's in the top three, if not my favorite. However, like I said, East
Mhm.
Africa has done me no wrong, and I need to go back to experience
Mhm.
Tanzania and there's just other places that I didn't get to see.
Mhm.
And we were there for 8 days. It's so
Ooh.
much, and I haven't even begun to explore West Africa yet. So I need to go to
Mhm.
Ghana. I need to go to the Ivory Coast. It's so many places that I just need to
Mhm.
be and experience. Southeast Asia right now, though, is probably the most beautiful I've seen thus far. So Bali, that includes
Mhm.
Bali. I need to go to Vietnam, and if anybody who does not know about Vietnam, you're sleeping. It's becoming one of
Ooh,
the travel spots right now. So I'm going to Turkey. I leave to go to Turkey in like less than 20 days. So yeah, a lot
nice.
of stories to come, by the way. Paris, my next story will be set in Paris.
Okay.
So Paris for the food is probably top two
Okay.
places on my list. I want to go to Greece, Santorini to be exact, but I can't go because I said the only reason I'll go to Santorini is for my wedding honeymoon. So I got to find a husband first. Uh, it's the top of my
Been
bucket
there.
list, but the place I cannot go by myself. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's how I've been wanting. I've always felt like I wanted to go to Fiji.
Ooh,
I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, Fiji would be a lovely honeymoon place," you know? So,
Yes.
yeah. Ooh, those are see, you a world traveler. I need to get my
And
miles up.
get the stamps
I
up
need
and
to
that
get out.
passport.
Look, I know.
Yeah,
I
I
got my
love it, right?
passport. It's just I got my global entry, I can go. I just
You are like the battle is won. Get on that
yes.
plane.
I need to get out and try new places and see more of the world and take that long flight because everything from California is far. Everything is far from us.
Oh, oh yeah, big
Everything
fact.
is far. I'm always like, "Ugh, add an extra 5 hours on top for us, for your East Coasters. Y'all right
Mhm.
there. You just hop on over." But okay, so that's super cool. I need to be like you. I need to be out there and I need to be traveling. I need to get out there and have a little bit more fun.
Shameless
Yes.
plug. Probably
Yes.
news I'm breaking here with you, and I haven't
Mm.
told anybody else. But
Ooh.
the next iteration of the Cher Terais brand is those curated travel groups. So again, as I go to these places to explore them, I want to begin to invite others, other authors, readers, who are interested in this kind of story or that kind of exploration. I want to invite
Mhm.
people to go with me, and I want to support that too. So, the Booked Club by Cher Terais coming very soon.
Love that. Love it. Because, a lot of readers, we're very solo, someone introverted at times in our reading style, and we don't have a big community or people to really connect with to talk about the books all
Yeah.
the time. So for some people, like I don't know how, as an introvert, was able to form community, but there's still a lot of
Oh,
folks out there who don't have community to talk about the books and be immersed that way. So that's a great idea. I think that's fun.
yeah.
That's fun. That's
Um,
cool. Love that. Love that. If you're going to a place on my bucket list, I'm gonna try to hop on because yeah, that's super cool. That's super cool. I love that. Love, love, love.
Last but not least, and I know you probably got to wrap up, but last but not least, I have Sharon Wonderland coming up.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
virtual release party for Tempest and Tulum. And I probably should have held up the book so you guys can see.
Yes.
I don't know if it's mirrored or not, but Tempest and
Uh-huh.
Tulum comes out 14th. Share in
Yes.
Wonderland to celebrate the virtual release, and also quite a few prizes will be given
Ooh.
away. So for your community, of course, if they go to Cher Terais author on Instagram or
Mhm.
TikTok, they can click the link in my bio and get access. Everybody's invited. Like I said, it's
Mhm.
virtual. Come to Share in Wonderland. More
Mhm.
information about this book, the characters, and what's coming next. All of that will be dropped at Share Wonderland. So please come.
Wonderful. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So, just a reminder as well that you can hear the dramatic reading preview of chapter one of Tempest in Tulum. Just go on to Cher's Instagram, click on the link in bio, and it'll be right there. If you've never experienced a dramatic reading or listening experience, it's super cool. So, definitely want to go ahead and check that out. And then, just a reminder to you all that the book Tempest in Tulum is coming out November 14th. So in the description of this video, you'll find a link as well, and you'll also be able to get a little pre-order discount because y'all, I'm helping y'all out. So go on ahead and click up on the links down below. It'll be somewhere in the, y'all know I'm new to this.
Oh,
It's in
yes.
the bio. Well, thank you
Love
so
it.
much, Cher, for joining me and chatting up. I hope that, you get to write more and more stories about all these amazing places that you travel to because that's super, super cool. And if you have not checked out Cher, that this is a great time because you'll be traveling with it to all these places we ain't never been. Because I definitely ain't been to Bali and Tulum and the Mara. I ain't been to Kenya. I ain't been to the
Let
motherland
that.
yet. So yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
got
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much for your time and your energy. And yeah, thank you.
you. It was so nice talking with you.
Good talking with you too. Bye, y'all.
All
Till next
right.
time, subscribe. All righty.